using the full Grand Prix layout, and we have got one split with many cars in this one. Certainly should be a fun night of wings and slicks. My name is Reese Gardiner. Joining me, David Haynes. David,
good evening, everyone. Welcome to round 5 of the OSR. Flag action as well. It's not the hugest track in the world, so getting blue flag, please.
Welcome one and all to Brands Hatch for round 5 of the Oceanic Sim Racing Formula 3 Championship. We apologise for the technical issues there. Once again, my name is Reese Gardiner. Joining me, David Haynes. David, we've got 23 laps here at Brands Hatch tonight.
Yep, exactly. With a compulsory pit stop to change 4 tyres and a pit window, that means they'll only be able to come in after the end of the second lap and before the start of the last lap. So there's a little bit of strategy for them to play with there. We'll see who pits early, who pits late, and we saw last week that quite a few people favoured chopping the race in half right down the middle, so the tyres do take a couple laps to warm up.
Yeah, certainly. That's the thing with the Formula 3 car. Usually these cars do formation laps in real life, and unfortunately not able to do that at the moment in the iRacing simulator, but maybe in the future. Watch this space. So the cars start with cold tyres on them. You really have to work those tyres a bit before they heat up and the car starts driving with a semblance of tolerability, I suppose you could say. So the guys are going to have quite a bit of trouble getting up to speed here at Brands Hatch. This is a very high-speed circuit with some corners that really put into effect the aero push phenomenon that we see so often in downforce racing. A lot of fast corners, you don't want to be too close to the car in front, otherwise you will have absolutely no grip, no downforce on that front wing.
I'm especially thinking about Hawthorne Bend when you say that, because I've been watching some of these drivers take that corner 6th gear, maybe flat out, maybe a little bit of a lift, but definitely a very fast corner, and you will have to watch out if you're following right underneath somebody else's diffuser.
Yeah, certainly. Currently got drivers in the practice session at the moment. We've got about 90 seconds left in this warm-up before we go into our 23-lap race. Chris Owen is currently on the top of the timesheets in this practice session, but I'm looking at Aaron Lee at the moment on my end. Have a look at this. He's trying to go for a move there at the last corner. You might see that a bit in the race. And Aaron following the driver in front of him for most of that lap. You could tell he was really working the car hard. He was trying his best to keep that front end in check through most of these corners. But as you said, David, particularly Hawthorne Bend, turn after the long straight, it's going to be havoc. But one thing that I am looking forward to seeing is how the cars tackle Druids, turn 2, the hairpin. That's going to be a bit of a crunch point on lap 1.
Yep, exactly. Definitely potentially the slowest corner on the circuit by some margin. I think overtaking is going to be rather difficult in these cars around this circuit, because we mentioned Hawthorne Bend, not much of a braking zone. The first corner, also a very fast corner. And maybe Druids is one of the few places we'll be able to see overtaking possible around this circuit.
Exactly right. As this practice session comes to a close, we take a look at Guy Leach in the VR46 car, just going off there. The I believe that's just coming through Stirling there near the end of the lap. Very difficult to get your lines right through that section, but we are out of the practice session and into the race, and the grid will be as follows. Aaron Lee is going to have qualified on pole here. Adam Briggs in second. Chris Owen is in third. Blake Haswell, Cameron Dance, and Reese Keane completing the top 6. Tim Delisle and Scott Larnack completing the top 8 here tonight. Ninth is Paul Mansell. Guy Leach in 10th place. Alex McKellar and Thomas McConnell on row 6. Daniel Benefield and Jamie McKnight 13th and 14th. I'm surprised Benefield's as low as he is there. Simon Black, race administrator, in 15th, with Craig Newell in 16th position. In 17th, we've got John Nicoleff, Emily Jones in 8th, Warren Pickering for Fusion Sim Racing in 19th, DPR's Damon Stockton in 20th, Scott Harvey and Corey Ott coming up row 11. Row 12, Taylor Nadabohm, I believe that is, and Tim Weston. And that is probably going to round out most of the rest of the field because we are about ready to go here. Revs are rising. Aaron Lee leading this field away. How's it going to go here? Aaron Lee immediately going to the left-hand side to widen out Paddock Hill Bend as much as he can. But they are starting to jostle back in the pack through turn 1, going 2 wide, in some cases 3 wide. Now we come down to Druids. It looks like a car locking wheels there. Oh, bit of oversteer from a few guys back in the pack. Remember, David, they still got to get used to these tyres. That might be a car off in the background. Oh, my goodness, that is not optimal at all. That's Guy Leach. He is right into the wall there. My goodness.
Made contact with someone, didn't quite see who, and then that sent him wide, and he's not been able to stop it on the grass. So he's contacted really hard with the tyre barrier. He does have one fast repair available to him in this race, but he's still outside of the pit window. If he pitted now, he'd still be required to take a pit stop later.
Yeah, he certainly would. Currently looking at Daniel Benefield at the moment, following a pack of cars. Scott Larnack, we have just gone to here, following Reese Keane and Tim Delisle. This is where the aero push really starts to be felt. Coming into the final corner here, cars darting to and fro here, going side by side through the last turn. Hold on, guys. Tim Delisle and Reese King really going at it here, but have a look at Scott Larnack on the inside. Benefield trying to thread the needle down into Paddock Hill. Is he going to be able to do it? My goodness, running side by side here. Scott Larnack out over the AstroTurf, managing to defend, but Benefield is really putting the pressure on right now.
Didn't manage to grab 2 positions for one, but he did manage to get his way past Tim Delisle, so currently up 6 positions from where he started is Daniel Benefield charging up there.
Yeah, certainly is. So Larnack is currently still following Reese Keane as they come up the back stretch here at Brands Hatch. A bit of a slipstream opportunity here. These guys are from 5th backwards, so the top 4 has definitely broken away from these guys, and you can't help but feel Scott Larnack is getting mighty frustrated here behind Reese Keane because, as we keep saying, there's no grip through these fast corners when you're running this close together.
Yeah, undulating as well. Some of the apexes rather hard to spot, and then once you get there, it's sometimes hard to see where you track out to. And now it looks like Reese Keane's pulled a little bit on Scott Larnack, who's now got Daniel Benefield weaving right behind him, getting in his mirrors and in his head through the final corner.
Yeah, certainly. Benefield looking very strong in this section of the circuit. Up the front, Aaron Lee has managed to extend his gap to just about a second over Chris Owen. So those are your top 4 there on screen at the moment. Lee, Owen, Briggs, and Dance. All those guys just look like they are just making sure that they just put those consistent times down. That's what they got to do at this stage of the race. Remember, they've got that pit stop coming up. So very much gappy running between those guys. So we'll see how they go from here on out. So Scott Larnack and Daniel Benefield once again going at it here for 6th and 7th position. This is going to be an interesting battle to look out for when the pit stop window comes about, because you can definitely define which of these guys finish in front, who takes their stop first.
The undercut doesn't quite exist with the cold tyres that get put on, taking a lap or so to come up to their optimal pressures and temperatures. So you can gain an advantage from pitting early, but only if your competitor stays out several laps longer. They can react the lap after and probably cover. And Benefield will look to the inside of turn 1. Not quite seeing what happened there, but I think he has gotten through on Scott Larnack.
He's got a technical issue as Daniel Benefield, I believe. The broadcast seems to have lost track of him. That's That's quite interesting. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but we're looking at Chris Owen and Aaron Lee at the top at the moment. Aaron Lee, of course, a new signing to Evolution Racing Team. Aaron Lee, formerly of Redback, and one of their fastest drivers, has been picked up by ERT. I think that's definitely a team that suits him. Very competitive team.
And he's definitely showing what he brings to the table. His last lap, a 1 minute 1:13.7. The only driver out there to have cracked a 1 minute 13 in these race conditions. He's pulling that gap out to nearly 2 seconds from Chris Oon. He's starting to show his advantage right now.
Yeah, he certainly is, going through Paddock Hill Bend and out through the exit. Very easy for the car to bottom out through there. And he's already coming up on lap traffic as we look at Jamie McKnight, the first pit stop of the race right there. Remember, McKnight was running in roundabout the area of Benefield and Pickering and the like. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. Looking at Adam Briggs, currently making his way past Alex McKellar. So he's managed to get that done very nicely. We're already almost a sixth of the way through this race. It is absolutely flying by at the moment. Brands Hatch with a very high lap speed.
Yeah, and this corner they're coming up to right here, take that in 6th gear for Hawthorne Bend. So for a track that feels a little bit tighter and twistier than maybe it is, these cars can carry speed through a lot of this back section of the course, staying up in 4th and 5th gear, carrying plenty of speed through there, eating up the 3.9 kilometers of the track.
Whoa, that is a damaged car, and that has caused havoc for those guys, David. Sorry to interrupt. That gave Warren Pickering a bit of a stab there at McKellar, but Pickering has fallen to the back of that pack once again. That is very interesting. I'm not quite sure who that damaged car was there, but we see cars coming out of the pits as we speak. Looks to be one of the front runners coming out of there. Yeah, Cameron Dance
taken a rather early pit stop, but that could be a strategic goal to get the new tyres on, warm them up, and then get them into that window for the last 2/3 of the race and really work that second set. Actually, that appears to be a problem for Cameron Dance.
Yeah, I think that might have been the car that was damaged.
Something come a cropper for Cam Dance, but he's got it going now after a 21-second stop. That's longer than it takes for the two tyres. He might have had to get something fixed on that car, as you mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. Whoa, have a look at that side by side there. Currently focused on Tim Delisle. Warren Pickering right behind him now. He just got passed by Adam Briggs, did Delisle, and now Pickering, he's going to try and... Oh, that would have been very brave to go for the move there. Through turns like Sterling, as we ride on board with Warren Pickering, this is a great view here from the nose of this car. Definitely get a sense for the speed at which these Formula 3 cars take the turns here at Brands Hatch. There goes Briggs diving for the pits, so that's going to be interesting to see where he comes out from there. Pickering continuing to follow. Oh, goodness me, he's just come out side by side with Daniel Benefield. I didn't even notice that. So Benefield just taken his pit stop, and now it's up to Benefield here to try and hold off Pickering as his tyres warm up.
Yeah, no pit stop from Benefield yet. He's just reappeared in the physical realm after whatever happened to him earlier. And a little bit further down the order than where he was, he has just moved himself back up into 6th place. He's looking pretty racy once again.
Yes, indeed. My sincere apologies for that. First time back in the commentary booth for me after the summer break, David, so I am a little rusty. You understand?
No, certainly, that's all right. That's all right. There's plenty going on, plenty of cars, and these quick-fire laps do make it hard to keep an eye on everything.
They certainly do. Adam Briggs we're focusing on at the moment. He did run a little bit wide there in Druids. I just saw him, and the camera went to him. But he's currently just in front of Cam Dance and Guy Leach. So Dance will be looking to make moves here. Oh, they're getting very racy. Briggs going defensive. Will be able to hold on. Cam Dance trying to take him around the outside. There's probably some tyre temperature difference here Oh, Dan's continuing to try and hold the outside, but unable to do so. Just running slightly off the track. Now, Guy Leach will be pressuring him there. But of course, there are plenty of places where you can stand to gain some time here at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, very brave of Dance around the outside of Hawthorne Bend, but then just couldn't hold it through Westfield Bend. So he's dropped back, but I'm sure he'll try and find another chance for that orange car to make an attack.
Yes, indeed. Got another car going through the pits there. Not quite sure who that one was, but it looks to me like it was Scott Harvey just coming out of the pits. Emily Jones and Damon Stockton going up ahead of him, and he's very slow on the exit.
Still damage on the front wing. Just come out, and it's not been fixed. So some issues for him as well there. Daniel Benefield is trying to go around the outside of the final corner on Tim Delisle. Can't make it work, but he gets a very good run off it. And he'll grab the inside for the first corner. If he can still hold alongside, he's managed to grab that one, I think.
Well executed over-under maneuver there from Daniel Benefield, but Tim Delisle is still pressuring here, trying to go for the outside line around Druids, but the mechanical grip in those slow corners is not exactly what F3 cars are known for, so it's very difficult to maintain a move there. I think Benefield will be able to stay in front for the time being, but Delisle, with that move done, he's going to have to start worrying about Warren Pickering here.
Might have seen an example of some of the different setup compromises that drivers can make. This is a circuit with quite a few fast corners and only really one long straight. It looks to me like Delisle's got a little bit less downforce, a little bit less wing on the car than what Daniel Benefield has.
Yeah, definitely seems that way. You can tell the Benefield is just rocketing away through that top section of the circuit where you are constantly turning. So Delisle putting a bit of faith in straight line speed, but doesn't seem to have helped him at this time around, and that pack is getting a bit spread out, so I think that's the last of the action that we'll see from these guys for quite some time. Not exactly profitable for them to get too close to each other at this stage. Might see them attacking later on.
Yeah, and very soon we will be coming to that halfway point of the race, which is where last week we saw quite a few people decide to pit around that time. So pit window's still definitely open, and there is a smorgasbord of strategies out there, Reece.
Yeah, certainly are, but I do think it is really not profitable to go for a late pit stop. As you said just before the race, David, the majority of people taking their pit stops at the halfway point. It does seem like the most sensible strategy as we take a look at our race leader once again. Being able to manage those tyres and get the optimum out of them, seems that halfway pit strategy works the best, because if you pit late in the race with only a few laps to go just before the pit window closes, well then you're running around for the last couple of laps with tyres that are not up to their temperature. You don't have time to get them up to working temperature.
Exactly, and you will have maybe stayed out too long on the first set. As we watch this battle a little bit deeper in the field, Reece, and that one's closing up just a little bit.
Yes, Guy Leach and Emily Jones at the moment coming up to Hawthorne Bend. I love that compression as they go into the corner. Really ups the grip, ups the ante. Guy Leach actually is looking very racy here, and my mistake, he is actually following Craig Newell, not Emily Jones. Emily Jones.
Sorry, as you were saying, Reece.
No, you go on, David. They have pitted.
Pointing out that while this is a battle for 18th and 19th, both of these cars have pitted, made their compulsory pit stop, and there's maybe 8 or so cars ahead of them on track yet to pit. So there might be a little bit higher up the order than it initially looks, and Guy Leach will look to the inside, just keep his nose into that first corner as our leader, Aaron Lee, comes in to take his pit stop at that halfway point.
Yeah, and it looks like a fairly typical, well-timed strategy there from Aaron Lee. He is pitting it just before the halfway point, so he'll whack 4 new boots on that car, and away he'll go. I dare say he will maintain the effective lead of this race. He seemed pretty untouchable there so far.
Yeah, certainly the highest up the order of all the cars that have pitted, and only one car that hasn't pitted ahead of him. So Aaron Lee still holding onto the lead. You see plenty of other cars like Daniel Benefield and Simon Black coming into the pit lane right now. So not many cars out there that haven't taken their compulsory 4-tyre chain.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So they will have to start getting in there soon if they want to get the best out of their tyres in the second stint of the race. Benefield is out. We are currently looking at Scott Larnack. Made his way past Alex Court there. Seemed like a fairly easy manoeuvre. Larnack, I'm interested to see where he goes from here, because he was one of the guys battling for that 5th place up at the very start, and oh, that's interesting. Car going off there in the background, I believe just to let them by. We'll see about that. But Larnack is drawing away from Alex Court at the moment, running strongly in 9th. See how he goes. How about Alex McKellar as well? He's done quite well in this one. He's been in the wars a little, but he's managed to hold on. Looking at Paul Mansell.
Yep, he had inherited the race lead by staying out. He's now come in and made his pit stop, seeing where he is going to come out. Looking like 6th place potentially right now. And I see Scott Larnack and some others potentially behind him as we get some more pit stops.
Yeah, Dominic Ferraris there for Valkyrie Sim Racing, taking his stop. He's gone up the order a fair way for other people taking their pit stops, but he'll fall back down slightly. He's going to come out just behind the likes of Adam Briggs, and wow, that is Daniel Benefield going by Corey Ott at Druids. And Ott, he has pitted, has Corey, so he's actually managed to make his way up the field a fair margin. Remember, I think he started in 22nd, didn't he?
Yeah, he took a rather early stop, did Corey Ott, and then he's managed to, on that second stint of tyres, put in some good laps. He's undercut quite a lot of other cars, and now this is a battle for position between the two young Queenslanders.
Very nice to see. So Corey Ott doing his usual Corey Ott / Bushfink shtick.
Big wiggle from Benefield, and Ott takes to the grass. They're going to maybe go side by side. Ott has to just back out of it now. He has a huge wiggle. Both of these guys, I think there's points and also a bit of pride on the line right here.
Yeah, and possibly tread remaining on the line as well after that one. On board with Corey Ott, and he is going into the pits, so maybe I was wrong. Maybe he hadn't taken his pit stop yet.
I'm showing on my timing screen as this being his second pit stop. The car goes up on the jacks. New tyres going to go on. I'm not sure.
He must have had an incident.
He might have damaged that car or pitted too early for the window. I'm not sure, but that's taken him out of that battle, unfortunately.
Yeah, very unfortunate. That was looking like a very entertaining bit of driving there. As we take a look at Derek Mobbs, followed by Dominic Ferraris and Craig Newell. It's interesting seeing what happened to Benefield and Ott there, really showing that these F3 cars are on the knife edge. They've become a bit notorious since they've come out for being very difficult to drive on the limit. Once this car goes, it really does go, and there's no problem recovering it. So the drivers have to be very smooth. They got to be very in tune with how their car handles. So got to make sure that they don't lose too much time. Oh no, that's not good. Dominic Ferraris right there proving that you take that AstroTurf there at the exit of that bend and the car just goes away from you. No recovering that, unfortunately.
Yeah, we saw that. He's got a little bit of a slide on at the rear of the car, and then trying to correct that, there was just no way he was going to get that back under control. Rather lucky, I think, to not make contact with the walls or any of his fellow competitors. He'll carry on, but he's lost a significant amount of time from that. One thing to touch on, though, is the track temperatures out there. Oh, someone's in the wall there, very heavy risk.
Ouch! Yeah, that is quite the hit there. I'm not quite sure who that was, but they almost missed a nose cone. It looks to me like that's Joshua Andrew. We're going to go to a quick replay here Of course, presented by CPR Kart Parts. Once again, thank you for your support. We're going to have a look here at what happened to Joshua Andrew. It just seems to me like he lost it on the exit. Maybe caught the grass, but goodness me, that was quite the hit.
And again goes to demonstrate that just you get a bit of a wobble, you have a sudden loss of traction at the rear of this car, and it's very, very difficult to grab a hold of it once again. The point I was going to make, we started this race with 20 degrees Celsius track temperatures. That's risen up to about 22. Not going to make a huge difference. The circuit has heated up just a little bit over the course of this race.
Yeah, it certainly has, and that's going to really make the track a little bit more knife edge in the way it drives, but if drivers pit now, it may help them just a slight bit to get their tyres back up to temperature. We look at Craig Newell here going through Paddock Hill Bend in front of Emily Jones, and have a look at Jones here. Trying to go up the inside of Druids. Newell stays a bit wide there, gives her a bit of room, but he's actually doing very well of a defensive drive going through Graham Hill, just not able to carry that momentum, and now Corey Ott is right in with it. Corey Ott on a recovery drive at the moment, but he's just going to have to swap back in, go for the over-under. Oh no, he's going to be on the outside for Hawthorne, David. This couldn't end well.
It is possible to hold it around the outside there. We'll see what Corey can do and how brave he wants to be.
Yeah.
And brave he does want to be. Position gained. And I'm sure he's got something to prove right now. In 17th place, going to try and hunt down Emily Jones and Derek Nobbs in front of him.
That's right. Looked to me like Newell just saw him coming and thought, it's probably no use defending this with the way these guys are charging around me. So I suppose that was a pretty smart thing to do given the circumstances, but you can see Ott definitely on a big charge here. He is bearing down on Emily Jones as they come around to start their lap 17. He has got quite a bit of pace, hasn't he? He's been right on board through Paddock Hill, so much on the edge.
Whoa, a little bit of a slide as well from Emily Jones. They'll go side by side. Corey, I'm not sure around the outside will work there. I think he recognises that. Maybe try and set up a good run onto the straight and try that move through Hawthorne Bend once again. See what he does.
Oh, there we go!
There's
No!
a wiggle and they touch.
Oh my goodness, Emily Jones lost it in the middle of the corner there, and now Ott is going to have some front end damage. That definitely deserves a replay, which we will go to very, very shortly. Here we go. Let's have a look at what happened here. So, looked to me like it was a case of Jones just having a bit of a wiggle in the middle of the corner, and she overcorrected once, and then twice, and then around it went. Ott had absolutely nowhere to go.
Yeah, exactly. Car of Emily Jones went a bit wide. Ott tried to hold the inside, but then spread eagle across the circuit was Emily Jones's car, and the unfortunate contact between the two of them. Corey Ott continues on, but there is definitely some damage to that nose cone and that front wing, and he's going to pit for what I count as the third time this race.
It's going to be a race to forget for Mr. Ott, isn't it? That's a real shame. Touring the pits 3 times in this one. Certainly not what you want, especially in a race as short as this. Currently looking at positions 2 and 3 on track at the moment. Tim Delisle and Warren Pickering. Delisle going for his pit stop. Pickering, one of the longest initial stints out of the entire field here. I dare say Pickering may gain quite a bit from this, but we've got to take into account how those tyres are coming out of the pits.
Yeah, with Tim Delisle diving down onto the pit lane, Warren Pickering now the only car out there not to have made a pit stop of some kind. I don't have an official count on the mandatory pit stops, but assuming that most of those were within the window. It's a very wide window. So Warren Pickering trying to make the overcut work, going long on the first set of tyres. It's hard to say exactly where that will drop him back, but if he can keep the pace up, top 10 is possible for Warren Pickering.
Yeah, certainly is. Pickering has done very well in this one. He's managed to stay out of trouble. He's managed to just keep it nice and easy. So we'll see what happens when he takes his pit stop. Currently in P2, I would predict that he will come out maybe around 7th or 8th, possibly. That's my prediction.
Yeah, pit lane delta looking like it's maybe about 20 seconds. So 20 seconds back from where Warren Pickering is right now. He's 32 seconds off the lead. I put that between Reese Keane and Tim Delisle for 6th place potentially. So plenty to play for Warren Pickering right now.
Yeah, certainly. But time is running out for him. He's going to have to dive in and take this pit stop pretty soon. There's only 3 and a bit laps remaining here at Brands Hatch for our race leader, Aaron Lee. And for Lee, it has been a trouble-free event so far. Completely untouchable has been Mr. Lee. It's been a class act from him for the last 19 and a bit laps. So I wouldn't be surprised if he continues to cross the line in first. He just seems to have those downforce cars worked out very, very nicely.
Yeah, we haven't seen so much as a wiggle out of him. Been very pacey, obviously qualified it on pole and then started running away with it. So far, very good race for Aaron Lee. Still a little bit of racing further back in the pack for 5th position right now.
Yes, indeed. Reese Keane and Tim Delisle, who has just come out in this position. Delisle, of course, will still be dealing with the tyres not being quite up to operating temperature. Who is that? That's the number 2 car. Looks to me like that's Scott Harvey. Yeah, he's a long way down, lap down as well. So I think he was just getting out of the way of these guys. Real shame for him that he's had to take to the grass to have to do that.
Warren Pickering has made his pit stop.
He's come out
somewhere around.
Wow. Okay, so, oh, goodness me. Forcing Delisle a little bit wide there. So that is certainly the gauntlet being thrown down. Warren Pickering says, I want this position. I wish to keep it, sir. Tim Delisle, unfortunately, having to take to the gravel, but remember, he does have the optimum tyres out of these two. Pickering is going to have to go majorly defensive here.
And I'm feeling rather good about my crew chiefing that I thought this is approximately where Warren Pickering would come out. He's defending that inside for all his life. Try and just hold on.
They both go off. Goodness me, that is getting very, very borderline there between those two. Both of them going off the circuit. Tim Delisle obviously having no qualms with going around the outside. Warren Pickering still trying to get those tyres up to temperature, but you can see Delisle is just hammering away at that gap. You can see that he's currently got the pace at the moment. He is a big threat.
Definitely looking very, very quick to try and get into that top 5.
This is definitely where it's at the moment, this battle here for 5th and 6th. Have a look at Delisle here on Pickering. Could be a move up the inside here at Druids. He's going to go for it. He's going to lose it. That's a bit of a gap that he does not need. Is Tim Delisle. Warren Pickering will be loving that in his mirrors. Taking that AstroTurf. Such an interesting battle there right at the end. Our leader is on his penultimate lap, is Aaron Lee. So these guys have very little time left to get things done.
And an absolute cracker of a battle for the last spot in 5th position, because right now 4 cars you see on the screen there: Warren Pickering, Tim Delisle, Alex McKellar, Daniel Benefield, and Adam Briggs maybe trying to join the back of that, not separated by more than a second. We've seen how quick Benefield can be.
Goodness me. Pickering versus Delisle here, continuing to get real rowdy. Can Delisle go for the over-under out of the last turn? He's going to give it a red-hot go. Might we see a pass here into Paddock Hill? You can see Alex McKellar is getting in on this as well. He's going to try and go for the inside line as they go on to the final lap here. Pickering going deep into Paddock Hill, trying his best to defend against Tim Delisle. Delisle going off at Paddock Hill. He's going to lose that position there to Alex McKellar. It's all gone wrong for Delisle in these last couple of laps.
So Warren Pickering holds on to that 5th position. Alex McKellar has come through.
Oh,
no! But he's around.
Oh, just about. He's managed to recover it, but he's lost a couple of positions out of that. That was very well recovered there from McKellar. So Delisle, he probably thought it was all over for him, but he's managed to get that position back. Adam Briggs, though, we're going to have to take a look out for him in these last couple of turns, but our leader, Aaron Lee, has crossed the line. That's how far ahead he is. We didn't even notice. Incredible. Chris Owen and Paul Mansell completing the podium there. Wow. I tell you what, it was definitely a race to watch from fourth back. It was Reese Keane crossing the line in fourth here at Brands Hatch, and Warren Pickering is going to take fifth place. Tim Delisle, fantastic job from him to hold on despite those issues that he had. Cracker of a battle for sure.
Yeah, that final spot in the top 5 was everyone's to lose, and it was very slippery. It didn't seem like anyone could hold on to it.
Yeah, certainly. That was incredible stuff to witness. We've got drivers coming across the line now, just continuing to round out this field. Simon Black there crossing the line in 11th place. Dominic Ferraris taking I believe 14th position there at the final hurdle. So we're going to go through the race results here. Just a bit of a recap of what was a frenetic 23 laps here at Brands Hatch. Aaron Lee taking the win there for Evolution Racing Team. Chris Owen coming home 19 seconds behind. That should tell you something about Lee's race here. Absolutely brilliant performance. Paul Mansell completing the podium with Reese Keane, Warren Pickering, Tim Delisle, Adam Briggs and Alex McKellar completing the top 8. And the top 10 will be rounded out by Daniel Benefield and TTL Esports' Scott Larnack.
Yeah, a couple more finishes here. So Simon Black grabs 11th place in a drag race to the finish line with Guy Leach, who'll have to settle for 12th. 13th goes to Craig Newell. 14th, Dominic Ferraris, as you said. 15th and last car on the lead lap, Alex Court. And the first car off that lead lap, 1 lap down, Damon Stockton.
In 17th position, Derek Mobbs and Corey Ott continuing the run of cars that have finished a lap down. Jamie McKnight and John Nikolaev, along with Tim West in the last cars to finish a lap down. Ben Coleman and Scott Harvey, 2 laps down. Cameron Dance, 7 laps down. A race to forget for that TTL Esports driver. Emily Jones, 7 laps down. Very unfortunate for her after that spin. Josh Andrew, Aaron Bulkwell, Marty Hansen, Thomas McConnell, Vincent Skilbeck, Taylor Natterbaum, and Chris Barnes. The rest of your field is Blake Haswell, the final driver, 21 laps down. He was out very early. That is a real shame for him. Well, we are going to go to our driver interviews now, and we have our race winner in the commentary box with us, Aaron Lee. Welcome. Congratulations on your victory. Seemed like a pretty calm race from you.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, it was a bit of a boring one towards the end, but definitely wasn't, without its perks along the way. We struggled a bit with strategy at Charlotte, so we thought we'd try something different, and it did work. We're a little bit nervous, but yeah, we had a good race. It got a little bit boring in the end, but no, it was a fantastic ride.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like that pitting halfway strategy really worked for you. F3 around Brands Hatch, very enjoyable to drive, I imagine, with all that downforce and these fast turns.
Yes and no. The car's struggling with a bit of inconsistency over the bumps, and I don't know whether it's just what I'm doing with the car or whether it's the car in general. But yeah, Brands is quite bumpy in certain places. But yeah, look, it is fantastic, especially with the downforce and the high-speed corners. It's definitely one of the more enjoyable tracks.
Well, we go from a bumpy circuit to a smooth one, and the Druids turn here at Brands Hatch, basically the heaviest braking zone on the track, but the next track on the schedule, Okayama, is basically full of Druid-style braking areas. You think you're going to go well there? Nice smooth track for this car?
That's one of my least favorite tracks, unfortunately. It's a very slippery surface, and I don't think I've ever really gone well there. So it'll be a challenge. Look, I'm up for it. I'm ready for it. Let's have some fun and see how we go. It's it's been a great ride so far. We had some problems with my PC and the Oculus Rift in the second and third round, so we threw that away. We're back to triples, and hopefully it's smooth sailing from here.
Yeah, certainly. Well, it looked like smooth sailing for you this round, Aaron. We'll see how it goes in future rounds. Before we let you go, any shout-outs?
Yeah, of course. Big shout out to Moilo47 and Stevo watching at home. They've been supporting me for this whole series, actually, like little fanboys. But no, look, thank you very much to Logitech and Speed Cafe for all their support with BRT. We couldn't do it without them. And thanks to you guys for broadcasting. Looking forward to watching the race when I get off.
Excellent stuff, Aaron Lee there for Evolution Racing Team. And David, I believe that's all the driver interviews we're going to have time for tonight. That was certainly an entertaining one.
Yeah, once again, this OSR Formula 3 Championship gives us plenty to talk about every single lap of the race, from start to finish, somewhere to look, some action to call, and plenty of strategy unraveling through it all as well. And we've got coverage of all of the remaining rounds here with SimSpeed TV.
We certainly have, and the next round is going to be next Thursday night, Australian time, at Okayama International Circuit, the full layout. Plenty of overtaking opportunities there, David. I'm looking forward to seeing how these cars handle that place.
Yep, exactly. A circuit with a couple of sweeping corners like here, but a lot more heavy braking zones, like the end of the long backstretch, quite a few slower mechanical grip corners. It'll throw up a challenge, as does every single circuit for this Dallara Formula 3 car. And I'm very excited to see what the best of Australian NZ sim racers can bring to the table next week, my apologies.
Yeah, certainly, of course. Well, that brings to an end proceedings for tonight. Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much to Josh Nowak, our director, in the box seat, telling us what to do and where to look. And thank you to everyone out there for watching. Make sure to subscribe to SimSpeed on YouTube and like us on our socials. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Be sure to check us out there so you know when our next broadcasts are coming up. My name is Reese Gardner. David Haynes joining me. Your top 5 in this round of the Oceanic Sim Racing Formula 3 Championship: Aaron Lee, Chris Allen, Paul Mansell, Reese Keane, and Warren Pickering. We will see you next time.